Have you ever wondered what would happen if the person you admire most hid a monumental secret from you? Luna and Emma live a modest life, believing that their father, Ethan, is an ordinary man struggling to keep the family afloat on a tight budget. But when an unexpected twist reveals that Ethan is in fact a millionaire, their lives are turned upside down. Luna held her books against her chest as she walked through the school corridors. Her steps were light, but her heart was heavy. Since she was little, she had always been a dedicated student. Her grades shone, but her brilliance never seemed enough to ward off the shadows of others' judgment. Her peers didn't see her intelligence, her dedication, or her love for studying. All they saw were her faded backpack, old clothes, and her simple demeanor. By her side, Sophie, a loyal friend, remained silent. Sophie knew how words could hurt, and at that school, they were like sharp arrows, launched mercilessly. Sophie was also the target of nasty comments. Somehow, she always managed to be Luna's support. "Don't let them bring you down," she would often say. But Luna, as much as she tried, couldn't ignore what she heard every day. That day, the laughter echoed louder than usual. Luna and Sophie had just left math class when they saw, at the end of the hallway, a group of girls laughing and whispering. In the center of the group was Bianca, the wealthy girl who loved to humiliate anyone she deemed inferior. The target today, as on so many other days, was Luna. "Look at her, coming with that horrible backpack again," Bianca said loudly, enough for Luna and Sophie to hear. Will she ever manage to buy something decent? Luna felt her face flush. It wasn't the first time Bianca had insulted her, but for some reason, that day the words seemed to weigh more. Maybe it was the exhaustion, or maybe it was because, deep down, she too wished she could have something new. She always knew it wasn't just about the clothes or the backpack. It was about the difference in worlds between her and Bianca. Sophie, always trying to protect her, stepped forward. "Just ignore them, Luna. They don't know what really matters." Luna knew Sophie was right, but at that moment, it was hard to believe. The laughter still echoed through the halls, and Bianca's gaze was full of contempt. Luna pressed the books against her chest, trying to hold back the tears that threatened to escape. She never cried in front of Bianca and her friends. She would never give them that satisfaction. They arrived at the classroom and took their usual seats near the window, where the afternoon sun timidly filtered in. Luna looked out the window, trying to focus on something beyond the humiliation she had just suffered, but Bianca's words still hammered in her mind. "Are you okay?" Sophie asked softly, placing her hand over Luna's. "I'm tired of this," Luna whispered, her voice trembling. "Why do they always have to be so cruel? Haven't done anything to them." Sophie sighed. "They don't understand. They only see the outside. They don't realize how brilliant you are, how special you are. They only see what they want to see." Luna knew Sophie was right, but it was hard to accept when every day felt like the world was against her. She felt invisible, except when she was the target of mockery. Her intelligence, her dedication, none of that seemed to matter. During class, Luna tried to focus, but her mind was far away. She wondered why a person's worth seemed to be measured only by the things they had. Did Bianca ever think about what it meant for Luna to use that old backpack? She knew she hadn't. For Bianca, everything was easy. For Luna, every little thing was an achievement. These achievements were never seen. Luna was on her way home, walking down the busy street with the weight of books in her tattered backpack. Each step felt heavier than the last, burdened by the stress and anxiety accumulated over the past few months. The sun was beginning to set, casting a golden light over the city. To Luna, the world seemed dark and indifferent. When the sound of a notification bell pulled her back to reality, she paused momentarily on the sidewalk, trying to ignore the commotion around her. With slightly trembling hands, she unlocked her phone and opened the email she had been waiting for weeks. The message was there, the top of her inbox. Luna stared at the text with a mix of hope and fear, her vision blurred by the tears beginning to form. The first paragraph seemed to stretch into an endless nightmare, but soon the words, "Congratulations, Luna. You have been selected to receive a full scholarship to Yale," jumped off the screen. She stood frozen in the middle of the sidewalk, the world around her slowing down until everything became a blur of colors and distant sounds. The weight of the backpack seemed to have disappeared, and Luna felt as if she were floating. With tears streaming freely down her face, a shy and incredulous smile began to form. The dream that seemed so distant was now within her grasp. Still in shock, Luna clutched her phone to her chest and took a deep breath, trying to process the magnitude of the news. With her heart racing, she began walking again, but this time the way back home felt lighter, as if hope and joy had finally found a place in her heart. She could hardly wait to share the moment with the rest of her family. In the small living room, her mother, Sarah, and her younger sister, Emma, were relaxing on the sofa, laughing at something that was playing on TV. Ethan, her father, was sitting in the armchair beside them, reading a newspaper, one of his daily habits. The sight of the family gathered together made Luna's heart beat even faster. "I have news," Luna announced, almost unable to contain the excitement in her voice. All eyes turned to her, and her parents and sister immediately realized that something big was about to be revealed. Sarah, with a curious smile, asked, "What is it, dear?" "You're glowing with happiness." "I got a full scholarship to Yale," Luna said, her eyes shining with emotion. The impact of those words made time stand still for a brief moment. Sarah's smile faltered for a second as she tried to process what it meant. Emma, who adored her sister, let out a high-pitched scream and jumped off the sofa, running to hug her. "I knew it. I knew you'd make it, Luna." Ethan lowered the newspaper and looked at his daughter with a mix of pride and surprise. "Yale? You got a full scholarship to Yale?" repeated, his voice choked with emotion. Sarah, still in shock, finally let the tears fall. She hugged Luna tightly, as if she never wanted to let go. "My daughter, I knew you were capable. This is more than I could have dreamed." Luna felt enveloped by the love and support of her family. Each of them, in their own way, demonstrated how significant that achievement was, not only for her, all of them. Yale represented a light at the end of the tunnel, a promise of a better future, away from the financial struggles and prejudiced looks they faced daily. "This isn't just for me," Luna said, her voice still filled with emotion. "It's for all of us. Yale will change our lives." However, the glow of happiness that enveloped the moment began to slowly fade when Ethan, who had remained relatively quiet until then, sighed deeply. He looked at Sarah, who was sitting beside him, and squeezed her hand tightly. The gesture drew everyone's attention. Ethan's once calm demeanor now bore a dark concern. "Ethan, what's wrong?" Sarah asked, feeling the weight of the silence followed. Ethan took a deep breath, as if searching for the strength to continue. His eyes shifted from Sarah to Luna and Emma, who were now watching him with expectation and apprehension. "I need to tell you something," he began, his voice trembling slightly. "A few months ago, I started feeling unwell. I went to the doctor and had some tests done." Luna's heart began to race. She didn't know what was coming. She felt it wouldn't be good. Sarah, holding Ethan's hand, squeezed it even tighter, as if trying to give him strength to continue. "They found that I have cancer," Ethan said finally, his voice almost inaudible. "And it's at an advanced stage." The room, which just moments ago was filled with laughter and joy, was immediately engulfed in oppressive silence. Ethan's words echoed in Luna's mind as if they were distant and unreal. Sarah remained motionless, her eyes filling with tears. She looked at Ethan as if trying to comprehend what he had just said. "Cancer?" she repeated, her voice breaking. "But how? You seem so well." Ethan took a deep breath and looked at his wife with profound sadness. "I wanted to tell you earlier, but I didn't know how. The doctors told me I don't have much time, maybe months, maybe a bit longer, but there's not much they can do." The impact of those words hit Luna like a blow. The ground seemed to crumble beneath her feet. The joy that had been there before vanished completely, replaced by overwhelming fear. "But, Dad, it can't be," Luna said, her voice choked with tears that threatened to fall. "There must be something we can do. Some treatment." Emma, who had been silent until now, began to cry, her tears flowing silently down her face. She couldn't understand why something so terrible was happening to her family, just when everything seemed to be getting better. Sarah finally found the strength to speak, still trying to hold on to some hope. "We'll fight, Ethan. We'll seek other doctors, other opinions. We won't give up." Ethan grasped Sarah's hand more firmly, but his expression made it clear that he had already accepted the reality of the situation. "I know you'll want to try everything," he said, his voice low and weary. "But the most important thing now is that we may make the most of the time we have together. I want to be with you, to cherish every moment." Tears streamed down Luna's face. All she wanted at that moment was for time to stand still, for her father to be well, for them to be happy as before. But now, the happiness of Yale seemed distant, almost irrelevant. The future was uncertain, and the only thing that mattered was spending as much time as possible with her father. The house was enveloped in a heavy silence, Ethan's impending loss hanging like an endless shadow over Luna and her sister Emma. The once cozy environment now felt small and gloomy, each room echoing the absence of the father who had been a steadfast anchor in their lives. Sarah, their mother, tried to stay calm, but the weight of grief was evident in her tired eyes. When the doorbell rang, the sound was unexpectedly jarring, breaking the stillness of their mourning. Luna, with her heart racing, went to the door and found a man in a dark suit, his expression as serious as the occasion. He introduced himself as Dr. Eduardo Ramos, a lawyer, and requested to speak with the family. Curiosity mixed with a sense of unease enveloped Sarah, Luna, and Emma. Seated around the dining table, Dr. Eduardo opened a folder with a formal gesture and began to speak in a soft yet firm voice. "I understand that this is an extremely difficult time for all of you," said, "but there's something very important I need to share. Ethan, your husband, was not just an ordinary man. He was, in fact, a millionaire." Sarah, Luna, and Emma exchanged stunned glances. The revelation seemed surreal, a hidden truth that challenged the image they had of Ethan. Dr. Eduardo continued, explaining that Ethan had chosen to hide his wealth to teach his daughters to value honesty, simplicity, and character over material possessions. He wanted them to grow up with a genuine understanding of what truly mattered in life. Luna's heart raced as the lawyer's words echoed in her mind. "Your father believed that the true value of life isn't in money, but in integrity and kindness. He did this to ensure that you, in the end, had an authentic and true perspective on what is really important." Dr. Eduardo then handed Luna and Emma a box of documents and a handwritten letter from Ethan. Luna's hands trembled slightly as she opened the box, finding certificates and papers that confirmed the immense fortune Ethan had left for the family. The letter, in her father's familiar handwriting, was filled with touching and emotional words. Ethan expressed his deep love for his wife Sarah, his daughters, and his hope that they would use the fortune to do good, maintaining the honesty and integrity he so highly valued. Luna read the letter with tears in her eyes, a powerful mix of shock, gratitude, and sadness flooding her heart. The father she had lost was more than she had imagined, a man of great heart and deep wisdom. The pain of the loss was still immense, but now the revelation added a new layer of meaning and complexity. The unexpected wealth left by Ethan was not just a material gift, but a legacy of love and values that would continue to guide them. As Luna and Emma embraced, Sarah watched with a mix of sadness and newfound understanding. Father was gone, but his love and lessons would continue to live in his daughters, offering a glimmer of hope and a way to honor his legacy. The revelation that they were now millionaires hit Luna and Emma like a bombshell. The shock was almost physical, a wave of disbelief and confusion enveloping them completely. Until that moment, their lives had revolved around struggling with financial difficulties and facing the world with what they had. Now, with the revelation of an unexpected fortune left by Ethan, everything had changed, and the two sisters were plunged into a sea of conflicting emotions. Sitting in the living room, surrounded by legal documents and Ethan's letter, Luna and Emma looked at the pile of papers as if trying to understand if it was really real. The silence that followed the reading of the letter was charged with palpable tension. The small room, once a symbol of struggle and simplicity, now seemed a space of infinite possibilities, but also of doubts and challenges. "We can't just ignore what your father wanted," Sarah said, her voice heavy with concern. "He taught us to value humility and honesty. I don't want this wealth to change who you are." Emma, sitting beside her sister, looked at the papers with a skeptical expression. "Mom, I get what you're saying, but it's hard not to get excited about all this. Finally, we have a chance to have the things we've always dreamed of," she replied, her gaze fixed on the images of luxury items and possibilities that money could offer. The discussion began to heat up, with Luna arguing the importance of honoring their father's legacy and maintaining simplicity, while Emma spoke about the freedom and new opportunities that wealth could bring. For Luna, money was a means to fulfill her father's dream, to live according to the values he had taught. For Emma, it was a chance to escape the limitations that had marked her life until now. In the following days, Emma began to transform the new money into a new reality. She bought designer clothes and started attending sophisticated events. The transition from a life of simplicity to luxury was notable, and the change in lifestyle brought a new confidence to Emma. Luna, on the other hand, found herself increasingly troubled by the situation. She couldn't ignore the feeling that, by embracing luxury and consumerism, Emma was drifting away from the values that Ethan had left as a legacy. Luna continued to seek ways to use the fortune to benefit others, planning initiatives to support important causes, and maintain the altruistic spirit her father had always valued. The tension between the sisters grew with each passing day. While Emma immersed herself in the new experiences that money provided, Luna found herself increasingly isolated, focused on preserving their father's legacy. The wealth, which was meant to unite the family and create new opportunities, seemed in fact to be digging a chasm between the two sisters. Amidst this turmoil, Sarah watched with a mix of sadness and hope. She understood the motivations and dilemmas of her daughters, and the challenge now was to find a way to reconcile Ethan's legacy with the new reality that had emerged. The burden of keeping the family united while dealing with the newfound wealth and the still fresh grief was a monumental task. The initial shock of the wealth was now turning into a ground for conflict and self-discovery, with Luna and Emma struggling to find a balance between respecting the past and being excited about the future. Luna was exhausted. The weight of grief and the pressure to maintain her scholarship were becoming an increasingly difficult burden to bear. Her grades began to drop. She started worrying about her future. Emma, now immersed in a luxurious lifestyle, didn't seem to understand her sister's dilemma. On a particularly tough night, Luna decided to talk to her mother Sarah about her struggles. Meanwhile, Emma, in a moment of impulse, decided to throw a grand party to celebrate her new life of wealth, completely oblivious to Luna's issues. The party was a success, but Emma started to realize the lack of genuine connections in her luxurious life. At the party, she encounters an old-school friend who, surprisingly, doesn't recognize her and treats her with coldness. Emma is devastated, realizing that fame and money haven't made her happier, only more isolated. During a conversation with Sarah, Luna reveals her fear of losing her scholarship and how it's affecting her. Sarah, touched by her daughter's honesty and struggle, confesses a painful truth. She too is struggling to cope with Ethan's loss and the new financial reality. Sarah admits that she always thought Ethan could have been more honest with the girls, but he wanted to protect them from material concerns. As Luna and Sarah talk, Emma, still disillusioned, approaches and overhears their conversation. She begins to understand the emotional weight of the situation for her sister and mother. Emma realizes that money hasn't brought the happiness she expected, and that the true value lies in family relationships and the lessons they learned from their father. Luna and Emma decide to act together. They create a plan to improve Luna's grades and ensure the continuation of her scholarship. Emma, moved by her sister's struggle, decides to cut back on her extravagant spending and use part of the fortune to support social causes and help educate vulnerable youth. As they work to turn Luna's situation around, the story of the girl's father starts to circulate in the local media. The community is intrigued by the idea of a father who, despite being a millionaire, chose to live modestly to teach his daughters about values. The story begins to inspire other families to reflect on the true meaning of wealth and relationships. In the midst of this, a new lawyer enters the scene. He reveals that Ethan had a secret donation plan, designed to ensure that part of the fortune would go towards creating a foundation to help families in need. However, the lawyer also reveals an unexpected clause. The foundation would only be activated if the daughters, Luna and Emma upheld the integrity and values taught by their father. Luna and Emma feel conflicted. They must prove that they have learned their father's lesson in order for the foundation to be established and benefit many others. This challenge becomes a personal mission for the sisters. The struggle to fulfill Ethan's wish turns into a journey of personal transformation for Luna and Emma. They learn to value not just money, but the positive impact they can have on others' lives. Luna improves her grades, and Emma becomes involved in community projects. The foundation is finally established, and Ethan's story becomes an inspiring example for many. In the end, Ethan's daughters not only honor their father's legacy, but also find a new purpose in their lives. The money, which initially seemed to be a source of problems and pressures, transforms into a tool for creating a better world, keeping alive the lessons their father taught them. They realize that, although money can offer comfort and new opportunities, it is not the answer to their deeper questions. The true value lies in the lessons of love and support their father planted in their lives. Luna understands that, even in the face of difficulties and challenges, Ethan's legacy is a beacon lighting her way. The lessons of character, humility, and unconditional love are what truly matter and what she needs to carry forward. And for you, what really matters? What we possess or the teachings we receive? Let me know in the comments. Now stay tuned for another touching story.